Good afternoon and welcome, guys, to today's webinar, Mark Rhoden's breakdown of Saturday's Theo Marks Stakes at Rosehill at Group 2 level. Our New South Wales winners subscription has been absolutely flying since we brought him on board. And here is the man himself. Mark, welcome.
Thanks a lot, Daniel. Yes, so
mate, just quickly, the race looks fantastic on paper. You've got Trapeze Artist trialling well, proven group performer, Home of the Brave, just missed last start in the Ori Star, and obviously Argento going down by 2 lengths to the Mighty Mare Winks. So it looks like a cracking race on paper.
Yeah, I agree with all that. It's a small field, only 8 runners, so the speed map's going to have some role to play there. There really does look to be 2 divisions of 4 runners each. You know, the 4 main chances at the top of the market. There's no surprise there, and then another 4 who really do seem to be making up the numbers. But despite that, I think there still might be an angle here to have a bet.
Beautiful, mate. Take it away. I'm all ears.
All right. So we might start by having a look at the speed map. I'll just go to this sheet here and find it. So with this end of the screen being the leaders and the other the back markers, I thought Home of the Brave, who led down the straight at Flemington on his Australian debut, might take it up again. Trapeze Artist, I'm pretty sure they'll want to take a trail with, and Siege of Quebec will push on. Siege of Quebec may even try and take up the running here, and Home of the Brave take the sit. I'm not absolutely set in concrete about how that will play out. I am pretty sure Trapeze Artist will sit off. King's Guard generally races forward, he won't be far away. Then we get more to the back markers. Argento could be closer in the run, could be closer to midfield somewhere, but bearing in mind he will have his eye on longer races further down the track, and he is actually back in distance second up. I wouldn't expect him to be racing handy or anything like that. So that's how the speed map might play out. The pace will be, I mean, they're top class horses, and they're, you know, it won't be a walk, but they probably won't be wanting to have the sparks flying and taking each other on up front either. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out exactly, but I think it'll be something like that. And considering Trapeze Artist is first up and it's 1,300 metres, I don't think they'll be wanting to lead with him, so he'll be taking the trail. Anyway, we might just go back to the top sheet here, and we'll just go through the runners in racebook order, and I'll give you a bit of a rundown on my assessment of each of their chances. So moving through to number 1, Trapeze Artist, he's come up favourite in the early market, not surprisingly. Just get him up on screen, there he is. Yeah, not surprising at all, considering he won 2 Group 1s at the end of his last preparation. He won the Golden Rose at the preparation before that, so 3-time group winner in all. He also managed to win first up in the Expressway at his last preparation. So he certainly ticks a lot of boxes, and it's not hard to see why he's favourite, or, you know, slight favourite ahead of Argento in the early market. I happen to think he might be under the odds. Obviously, the Everest will be his main target this preparation, along with plenty of other horses. But even though he can be expected to run very well here, he could get beaten in this and still lose no admirers at all in the Everest. He's having a first up run over 1,300 to bring him on for the grand final, his grand final next month. And one thing I have noticed about his form pattern over the last 2 preparations, if you just go on our performance ratings that we use here, his peak performance at each preparation has been either 3rd or 4th up. He sort of jumped out of the ground when he won the Golden Rose back here as a spring 3-year-old. He bolted in, sat wide and won by 4.5 lengths. That was his 3rd up run at 1,400. And then last time in, he was actually 4th up off a little freshen in the TJ Smith. Again, a real target race for him in that preparation. And he ran straight past Redzel that day. It was best run of his career to date. But so that's my little concern, is that he'll be wound up to do a figure like that in the Everest, which will be later in the preparation. Saturday is not the grand final, so I think you've got to be a little bit conservative. I've still marked him off a rating of 117, which is his best so far. I think he can probably do better than that under the right circumstances. So I've been what I'd consider to be a little bit conservative, but bearing in mind the fact under the quality handicap conditions, he's got 61. He's giving significant weight to everything else in the race, and he's first up. I think $2.90, $3 around that mark is a bit too short to be steaming into first up. I've, as we can see in this column here, I've got him $4.50, and I really think it's about as short as I can get him. So undeniable chance, best horse in the race on what we've seen so far, no doubt about that. But whether he's actually wound up to do that, whether he can give away the weight and do that first up, is my small query on him. We move on now to number 2, Home of the Brave, who I think is a very interesting runner in this race. He brought pretty good credentials over from the UK last year. Won a group race at Newmarket in July of 2017. We can see there. These are converted overseas performance figures, which line up to ours that we use in Australia, and we can see that his peak figures are around the 114 to 116 range. He's done that a number of times. And he had his first run out here down the straight last month in the Ori Star, in which he led and was run down by Voodoo Lad carrying 59 kilos, and he managed to ride 113, which is pretty close to his top. Since then, he's trialled strongly again. He'd trialled well before the Ori Star in Sydney. He was taken to Melbourne. Now he's returned to Sydney, trialled strongly again. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him rate very close to his top here. He can probably take up the running, or he'll either lead or be second. He'll be right in the firing line all the way. The extra 100 metres suits him. And he has a 3.5 kilo weight pull on Trapeze Artist. So I think at the current price, which I think is around $5.50, he really does look a betting proposition to me. He's not a certainty by any means, but he's one of the real leading chances in this, and I think he's probably the best value of those leading chances. So at the current prices, he's the one I really want to be with. We move now on to number 3, Chalet Lee. She's a talented mare. Her best ever run was last spring when she beat Tom Melbourne in what's now known as the Kennedy Mile at Flemington and rated 113. That was a clear peak performance, and she hasn't actually got up to it since in the sort of autumn and early winter preparation either. She's got Joe McDonald on, which is a plus, and she trialled okay. 56 kilos against the males isn't thrown in. I think she's paid the penalty for some of that good form she'd shown previously. I'd be surprised if she was to run up to that Kennedy Mile rating first up. She'd be in the race. I'd really be surprised if she was wound up to do that first up over 1,300. So I think she's a minor chance at best to have got a marked in the mid-20s to 1 and not really a danger to the main ones. Next is the grey Argento. Showed tremendous ability and improvement as an autumn 3-year-old in the autumn just gone. And then his first up run behind Winks in the Winks Stakes was nothing short of remarkable. He sat 3 wide all the way, not the place to be on the day, as well as facing the breeze and covering the extra ground, and still was able to run third within 3 lengths of Winks. It really was a terrific run. And despite all that going against him, he was still able to return a rating which was equal to his best as a 3-year-old with things going his way. So that just shows how well he's come back, and I think you can be almost certain that he'll go to a new level of performance as a spring 4-year-old and be competitive in anything they target him towards. My slight query on him on Saturday is that he's dropping back from 1,400 to 1,300 second up and might be giving away a little bit of a start. He's very close to Trapeze Artist in the early markets, and he's ahead of Home of the Brave. Ability-wise and potential-wise, I can 100% see why that's the case. He could end up being the best horse in this field, but on Saturday with the distance drop and maybe the Mapu shoe, I think I wouldn't want to take $3. As you can see here, marked in 370. I've got him equal top pick with Home of the Brave, so I'm conceding him a great chance. But in terms of betting proposition, put him in the same basket as Trapeze Artist. Genuine chance, very good horse, but maybe the value in the early market at this stage isn't quite there. On to Foxplay. Yeah, she's been always raced at the top level. Foxplay runs some great races, particularly on soft ground. Over the course of her career, the track's currently a soft 5. There's a few showers around, so she'll probably get the required sting out of the track. She's had a fair bit of racing now, and she's pretty well exposed. And whether she can measure up to a field like this, we've touched on the fact that it is a pretty hot field. I doubt whether she can win a race of this calibre first up, even if she did get her preferred conditions. So I'm going to be against her. Got a mark around the 40-1 mark. So yeah, it's a no for me. Next up is Grand Rosso. Yeah, again, not a winning chance for mine, but interesting horsey. Honest handicap sort of performer over, really good 1400 metre horse for the Hazeyard for a few preparations. Then last prep was transferred over to the Snowdens, and after 2 fair runs in New South Wales, really put in a great performance in winning the listed handicap up at Doomben, the GH Mum, and he's gone out in a real high, which is something I always like to see. If horses go out at their peak and are then given a freshen or a spell, you can expect them to come back at or near that level and run well first up. I could see him running well first up, but this is short of his best distance. It's a far stronger field than he's used to meeting, and it would surprise me if he won. It wouldn't surprise me to see him run a bold race, but I don't think he's got the ability to trouble the top few in the market. Which brings us on to Kingsguard. Yeah, he's facing a similar problem. Very honest handicapper. He's got a significant weight pull on the likes of Trapeze Artist, but he doesn't really have the quality to trouble them first up either. I've made him the rank outsider in this field around 80-1. Yeah, couldn't see him winning. And the bottom weight Siege of Quebec is an interesting runner. He was about equal favourite or slight favourite ahead of Loramain in the show County first up, and really wasn't given much chance. He was sort of 3-wide joint lead, while Loramain had a much better run on the rail, and he fought really well and was only beaten 1.3 lengths. And I thought that run was better than the figure returned because of that tough running transit. He's shown before he can ride up to about 110, which gives him a chance in this race. He's got a run under his belt, which is a plus. He should get a better run in transit this time. His best on what we've seen, or even his potential, isn't up to the quality of Trapeze Artist, Argento, and probably even Home of the Brave. But if he's got the ability to be up in the finish, and if they have off days for one reason or another, he could get away with a race. Again, betting proposition, he's around $5, $5.50. I don't think he's missed at that price. He does have the weight pull on those, but the others have earned that weight. I think if that's the reason he's short, as short as $5 in the market, I don't think that will be enough to get him home in itself. But that said, yeah, he's a clear 4th pick. There's a big gap to the rest, and if the cards fall his way, he'll run well, or maybe even get away with it. But I do have him behind the other 3. So just to return to the top for a second, we'll see. Just over here is my final my market at this stage. Barring any significant changing conditions between now and Saturday. Got Argento and Home of the Brave top picks at 370, from Trapeze Artist at 450, then out to Siege of Quebec 730, and $23 and longer the rest. So as I said earlier, 2 clear divisions, and as a betting proposition, yeah, if that price can hold up Home of the Brave, I'll be having something on him, I think. With Argento and Trapeze Artist, obviously huge chances as well.
Mark, another fantastic breakdown. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sure all of our subscribers will love covering the race on Saturday. So thanks again.
No problem at all, Daniel. I hope it's been some help.
Absolutely. And guys, thank you for tuning in. This fella's up over 30 units since we brought him on board in June. It's still at the introductory price. Get in touch, 1300 500 057, or email us at team@championbets.com.au. Highly profitable subscription. The guy knows what he's talking about. So get in touch. Mark, thanks again, mate.
No problem at all, Daniel. Thank you.